This might sound controversial, but I think 12% body fat is the sweet spot for men. And I'm not just talking about for guys in their 20s, I'm talking about for us guys in our 30s and even in your 40s too. It's lean enough for you to see your abs, but healthy enough for you to live your life. You can get there without having to cut carbs, spend hours in the gym every week, or following some crazy unsustainable diet. And if you're following the right plan, something that's actually realistic, not only is the path to getting there pretty straightforward, but you can even maintain it year round, even with a busy job, eating out, beers with the boys, and even with young kids. Better still, you'll have more energy, you'll feel more confident, your clothes will fit better, and you won't be anxious about taking your clothes off around the pool this summer. But here's the thing, even though summer feels like it's a million miles off right now, in reality, it's only 16 weeks away, and you and I both know that's gonna fly by. So in this video, I wanna give you a realistic plan that you can use to get from whatever body fat percentage you're at right now to 12% by summer. I would tell you that this is the plan that I used to lose 50 pounds in just 4 months, but I'd be lying to you because my plan absolutely sucked. Back in 2018, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I cut out carbs, I worked out like a maniac, I crash dieted, and there were even nights when I cried myself to sleep because I was so hungry. But in the 7 years since then, I've learned a lot. I've coached hundreds of men personally who are in their 30s and 40s, from busy dads to business owners, and helped them get incredible results following the exact plan that I'm gonna take you through today. We're gonna cover everything that you need to hit 12% body fat and stay there. So first, we're gonna break down exactly how long it's realistically gonna take you based on where you're at right now. Then we'll go through how much you should be eating and what you should be eating without starving yourself or cutting out the foods that you love. Next, we'll cover how you can maximize your fat burn with just 3 30-minute workouts a week. I'll also reveal the biggest mistakes that keep most guys stuck above 20% body fat and how to avoid them. And finally, we'll talk about what happens when you actually hit 12% and how to maintain it without losing your mind. There's not gonna be any fancy editing in this video, I'm just gonna tell you the straight facts. So if you struggle to look at my face like my good friend Mr. Hash, then this video probably isn't for you. But if you're ready to dive in, then turn off your notifications, full screen this video, get comfortable, and let's lock in, lads. All right, let's talk timelines, because how long it's gonna take you to hit 12% will obviously depend on where you're starting from right now. So let's break this down. If you're around 30% body fat right now, you've got some work to do, but don't panic. Losing 1.5 to 2 pounds a week is gonna be realistic for you. So in 16 weeks, you can easily drop 20 pounds or more if you follow the plan. And that's enough to get you close to that 12 to 15% range by summer if you stay consistent. If you're starting at 20 to 25%, which let's be honest is where most guys are sitting, 12% by the summer is absolutely on the cards for you. That's about 15 pounds of fat to lose, and trust me, it will come off faster than you think once you start to build some momentum. Now, if you're under 20%, you are in a great spot, my friend. You'll need to dial things in, but you'll see that 12% mark within 8 to 12 weeks easy. But here's the thing, wherever you're starting, this isn't about crash diets or endless cardio. It's about doing less, better. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that next. You don't need to overcomplicate your diet. I cannot stress that enough. A lot of guys seem to have it in their head that this process should be really hard because they think they've tried everything else. So the solution must be some crazy extreme diet, but that's complete BS. In fact, the guys who follow the extreme diets like carnivore or keto are the ones who give up and quit. Saying that, your nutrition is going to be one of the most important components of this. So we need to get this right from day one. First up, we need to calculate the number of calories that you should be eating. But this number is unique to you because it's based on your age, your weight, your height, your sex, and how active your lifestyle is. Now, a simple way to calculate this number is to multiply your body weight in pounds by 14. That'll give you what we call your maintenance calorie number. Then we need to put you in what we call a calorie deficit. This is the only way you can burn body fat. It's the principle that sits above the methods. So what that means is that you can lose body fat doing any of these diets, to be honest with you, as long as you're in a calorie deficit. But equally, no diet will work if you're not. Does that make sense? Now, the size of your calorie deficit is going to depend on how fast you want to lose the fat. If you're closer to 25 or 30% body fat and you're serious about getting down to 12% by the summer, you're going to want to go into an aggressive deficit. So there's 3,500 calories in 1 pound of fat. So if you wanted to lose a pound of fat a week, you'd need to create a 3,500 calorie deficit, which works out to 500 per day. Okay, it's 3,500 divided by 7. But if you want to go harder, you can double down on this and put yourself in a 1,000 calorie deficit per day to lose 2 pounds of fat per week. Like I said, it's gonna depend on your start point. If you're around 20% body fat range right now, losing a pound of fat a week is perfect for you. Remember, we wanna create a sustainable approach here. I know you want the results faster, but you're actually gonna reduce the chances of getting there to the finish line if you go too hard at the beginning. But we also need to be realistic here. You didn't put on all of this fat overnight, so you're not gonna lose it overnight. Okay, now that we know your calorie target, you need to start tracking how much you're actually eating. Now listen, I know food tracking is boring, but, and it's a big but, it works. Even though there's a long list of cons, the one benefit outweighs all of them. They should be teaching this stuff to kids at school. That's how important it is. This habit will change your life, no exaggeration. In fact, most of my clients say that this was the thing that finally moved the needle for them, the one habit that actually got them the results. Now, the problem with this habit is it's the ultimate form of delayed gratification. You do all the hard work up front and you don't get the reward until the end. But despite that, I have never met anybody who regrets doing it. And honestly, all it takes is 4 weeks of consistent tracking, 28 short days. And if you do that, you're gonna see food like Neo sees the Matrix, because tracking removes guesswork and it strips away all the emotion. Now, if you think you're eating healthy, but you're not tracking what you eat, you might as well in your hands. And there is a very clear link between tracking calories and getting results. The top 1% of people are treating life like a video game. They're always trying to beat their high score. They track their metrics and they're always trying to keep their streak going. So before you worry about winning the game of fat loss, you need to actually be playing the game. And to be playing the game, you need to be tracking your food. And if you want my top tip, program your food into an app like MyFitnessPal, which is the one most of my clients use the night before, because then you're setting a plan, you're setting an expectation, you're putting an expectation on yourself of what you are going to do the next day. You are holding yourself accountable. And if you do that, then you are far more likely to actually follow through with it. And if you follow through with it, you're going to get the result. So that's my sales pitch for why you should be tracking your calories. I might as well just go and get a job at MyFitnessPal. Okay, so you know how much you should be eating. You're going to start tracking your calories because you're serious about this and you actually want to get the result this time. Now let's talk about what you should be eating. Most coaches will tell you that you can eat whatever you want, and as long as you're in a calorie deficit, you'll get the result. And on paper, in theory, that's absolutely true, but theory isn't reality. So I'm going to tell you what works in the real world, and it's really simple. In fact, I've broken it down into 5 golden rules for you. Golden rule number 1, you want your diet to be balanced. Don't listen to any of these morons who are telling you to follow some crazy restricted diet where you cut out whole food groups or macronutrients, because all 3 macronutrients, your protein, your carbs, and your fat, play an essential role in your health. Protein fills us up, it stabilizes our blood sugar levels, and it supports our immune function. Carbs are your body's preferred source of energy, and fat supports your endocrine system, your hormones. Golden rule number 2, you want your diet to be omnivorous. Tell me something, have you ever seen a vegan? I expect you have. They look like they're about to collapse. Their eyes are glassy, and they barely have the energy to speak. At this stage, I honestly feel sorry for them. So eat plenty of lean meats, fish, and eggs, but make sure you're getting fruit and vegetable in as well. Golden rule number 3, you want your diet to be nutrient dense. The best way to do this is to limit the amount of processed food that you have. This is the hardest one to stick to, but it's also going to be the one that gives you the biggest benefit. You see, processed food contains what we call empty calories. They count towards your target, but they don't fill you up. You know what it's like, 30 minutes after you've had your favorite fast food, you're starving again. This stuff is also terrible for your gut health and your endocrine system, your hormones. It causes a lot of inflammation in your body, and particularly around your belly. It disrupts your sleep, it tanks your testosterone, it affects your mood. Honestly, it's just not worth it when you realize how many cons there are. The problem with this food is that a lot of people are addicted to it. Remember, it's been processed, which means it's not produced, it's manufactured. This food has been engineered in a way to keep you coming back for more. But the good news is that if you can cut it out for just 2 weeks, your taste buds will actually reset, and the hedonic pathways in your brain will forget how good this food tastes. In simple language, that means your cravings will just go away. Now, I can't sit here and tell you that you're never gonna crave this stuff again, but after a couple of weeks, you'll feel so much better that I can't even describe it to you, and then you just won't wanna eat this food anymore. Instead, what you want to do is eat mostly whole, nutrient-dense foods. These are going to give you more energy, optimize your gut health, and boost your immune system. Golden rule number 4, you want your food to be quick and easy. You want to make all of your meals in 20 minutes or less. I don't know about you, but I don't have 3 hours to make a recipe. And I doubt you do too. I've designed my diet to fill me up and fuel me. So I have the same breakfast every day and I rotate 5 meals for my lunch and dinner throughout the week. And finally, golden rule number 5. It's probably the most important of them all. You want to enjoy your diet because if you don't love what you eat, you won't stick to it. So I'd recommend finding snacks and treats that you can eat every day, which feel like cheat codes because they're low in calories and stop you going off the rails and binging at the weekends. Listen, I don't want to BS you, so here's the deal. It will take a little bit of trial and error for you to build your perfect diet. But if you base it on these 5 golden rules, I am extremely confident that you are going to get off to the best possible start. There's another important component of nutrition in your diet that we haven't spoken about yet, and arguably it's the most important, and that's water. Now, I am 100% sure that I'm not the first man in the world to tell you that drinking a lot of water is a good thing, but a lot of people still struggle with it. And I think the main reason for that is that no one's ever taken the time to explain why drinking water and staying hydrated is so beneficial. So, allow me. Water is like your body's secondary energy system. So, think of the calories that you eat like the fuel that you put in your car, right? Well, the water that you drink is like the oil that you use to make sure the car doesn't break down. That's how important it is. Every single cell in your body needs water to function correctly. And dehydration can cause big problems. It affects your energy levels, your mental clarity, and even your ability to stick to your diet. But what most people don't realize is just how sensitive our brains are to this. You only need to be 1 to 2% dehydrated for your brain to start shutting off some of the processes in your body. And what that looks like in real life is a feeling I know you're all too familiar with. You start to feel lethargic. And you know what it's like when you start to feel lethargic? You get lazier. Suddenly the idea of sitting on the sofa in your pants watching Netflix all day feels pretty appealing, right? But that means you get less done. And when you get less done, you burn less calories. And generally, you just feel worse about it. In contrast to that, if you do the very simple thing of just drinking more water and keep yourself hydrated, you're gonna have all day energy, mental clarity, focus, and probably most important of all, drive. So your next question might be, how much water should I be drinking then? Well, to be honest with you, the answer that I give most people is just more, because I know they're probably not drinking enough of it. But if you want a precise number, if you can aim for about 3 liters of water a day, you'll be doing yourself a big favor. And drinking that much water, I mean, it really isn't that much, isn't tough at all. So I drink 3 liters of water by 9 a.m. every single morning because I'm in the habit of doing it. So let me explain how I do it. And I'm not doing this to flex, you'll understand in a second. I wake up about 6 a.m. and I have 500 milliliters of water with an electrolyte powder mixed into it. Then I'll go to the gym about 7 a.m. or so and I'll take a 2 liter bottle of water, exactly like this one. In fact, this is the one that I just took to the gym. I've just got back from the gym, hence why I'm looking massive. And I'll drink that on the way to the gym, at the gym, and on the way home. And then when I get home, I have a protein shake, which I've just had, with another 500 milliliters of water in it before 9 a.m. And I'm doing all of that without even really trying. Now, you don't need to drink 3 liters of water before 9 a.m. But the point of me telling you this story is that if I can do it by 9 a.m., I think it's fair to say that you could definitely do it by 9 p.m. And if that isn't enough motivation for you to drink more water, let me tell you another sneaky benefit you'll get from it. When you drink water, it actually fills your stomach. And when your stomach is full, its walls expand. Now that sends a signal all the way up to your brain, telling it that you are full. So on top of giving you more energy and mental clarity, drinking more water is actually going to kill your hunger too. Okay, now that we've got your nutrition locked in, let's talk about training, because trust me, the best diet in the world won't get you to 12% if you're half-assing your workouts. But here's the good news. You do not need to be doing hours of cardio to burn fat and lose weight. In fact, unless you love spending hours outside in the cold and the rain, I'd argue it's a complete waste of time. So if you want faster results from your workouts, there are 3 simple yet very powerful tweaks you can make that will completely transform your body. And I'm 100% confident these are going to work for you because I've spent the last 6 years coaching hundreds of men all over the world, helping them to get leaner, stronger, and healthier using these exact same strategies. Number 1 is to focus on compound moves. This was a game changer for me because when I first started going to the gym, in fact, before I even went to the gym, my workouts consisted of bicep curls and sit-ups. I just didn't know any better back then, to be honest with you. I copied the Rocky cutscene because it worked for Sly. Surely it's going to work for me, right? wrong. Exercises like bicep curls and sit-ups are what we call isolation exercises because they only work individual muscles and normally the smaller ones. You might think it makes sense to do ab workouts to get abs, but you really won't make much progress doing these. Instead, what you want to do is prioritize the multi-joint exercises that use your biggest muscles, and these are called compound movements. So what I'll do is I'll put a list of the main compound movements on the screen. So if you want to pause this or screenshot it or do whatever you want, you can do that now. Just to kind of read a few out, you've got squats, you've got deadlifts, lunges, hip thrusts, and then for your upper body, you've got things like overhead press, bent over rows, bench press, dips, push-ups, pull-ups. There's plenty to choose from there, and that's actually not even a complete list. It's just the ones that I would recommend you start with. And not only do these exercises build muscles faster, but they also help you to burn more calories and lose fat, because the bigger the muscle, the harder your body has to work. You see, the harder your lungs have to work to breathe in all of that oxygen, and then the harder your heart has to work to pump that oxygen in the blood to the muscle. And then finally, the harder the muscle has to work to create a big enough contraction to be able to lift the weight. So you see, it's a win-win. And here's the real kicker. These movements also trigger the release of key hormones like testosterone and growth hormone, which speeds up your metabolism and helps you burn fat faster. Okay, so that's strategy number one. Strategy number two is to train smarter. Most fitness influencers have time. They have 2 hours a day where they can go and spend in the gym, but you don't have that time. And I know that, and that's absolutely fine. Here's the thing, you don't need to work out every day, and you certainly don't need to be spending 2 hours in the gym to make amazing progress, okay? And the other thing you don't need to be doing is 10 different exercises every workout. So this is how I'd recommend that you structure your workouts for the best possible results. Firstly, if you're short on time, then 3 well-structured 30-minute full-body workouts is all you need. So here's what you're gonna do. Pick 4 to 6 exercises. Now, focus on the compound movements I talked about earlier. Use lighter weight than you normally would, and do 4 sets of 15 to 20 reps with 45 to 60-second rest periods between the sets, rather than the usual 3 sets of 10, which you see everybody else doing. Because think about it. If you do 3 sets of 10, you're doing 30 reps, right? But if you do 4 sets of 20, you're doing 80 reps, which means you're gonna be doing so much more volume. Now, if you lift lighter weight, you can also do more reps, and you won't need as much recovery time between sets. And with less exercise variety, you're gonna waste less time moving around the gym or loading and unloading plates and waiting for equipment to become available. In other words, doing all of this, you're gonna make your workouts far more efficient whilst also dialing up the intensity at the same time. So that means you can get in and out of the gym in much less time without compromising the effectiveness of your workouts and the result that you're going to get. But there is one big caveat here, because the biggest mistake that I see men make in the gym is that they're doing the same thing over and over again and then like scratching their heads, wondering why they're not making any progress. If that sounds like you, don't worry, let me explain the very simple solution. Have you ever heard the story of Milo and the bull? Now, I have no idea if this is a true story, but I think it's pretty cool. Basically, this dude called Milo, shock, had a baby bull. Anyway, for some reason, he decided he was gonna carry this calf up the hill every single day. I'm not sure if he was mental, but whatever, power to him. As the calf grew into a bull, Milo continued to lift it day after day, and as the calf grew gradually, so did Milo's strength. And by the time the calf became a fully grown bull, Milo was strong enough to carry it on his shoulders. So you see, as the weight slowly increased, his body had no choice but to adapt. And that's how you're gonna get stronger and fitter. Except the good news is, you don't need to go into a field, pick up a random calf, and steal it because they'll call the police and the farmer will probably shoot you. So don't do that. We have gym memberships nowadays. But what I've just described is called progressive overload, and here's how it works. When you lift weights, your muscles get used to the effort. So to keep building strength and get bigger muscles, you need to either lift heavier weights over time, do more reps, so instead of doing 10 squats, try 12 next time, or do an extra set. It really is that simple. The challenge, as it always is the consistency. And speaking of consistency, one of the most important things to remember is that the best workout, just like the best diet, is the one that you can stick to. So if you hate every second of your workout, it's only a matter of time before you give up. So what you want to do is find a routine that you enjoy, because when you enjoy what you're doing, you'll naturally stay consistent. And then principle number 3 is to do the opposite of what everybody else is in the gym. Like seriously, look around your gym the next time you're there. Really look around. I can guarantee you that 90 to 95% of the people in your gym do not have a clue what they are doing. They're not following a program. They don't know how to lift with correct form, and they are definitely not training hard enough. They're doing 3 sets at 10, spending half their time on their phone. My clients aren't doing average programs like this, and as a result, they ain't getting average results. You saw them at the start of this video. You want to make sure that you're in control of the weight and not the other way round. So don't lift weights that you know are too heavy for you, because it's just going to end badly, isn't it? You're not putting the muscle under any mechanical tension, so it's not going to grow anyway, and you're just going to get injured. And lads, trust me when I say this, that girl who you are trying to impress, she doesn't care. So just leave the ego at the door, and for the love of God himself, please put your phone away. In fact, let me tell you a true story that I'm genuinely still mad about to this day. And this happened like 6 months ago now. So I walked into the gym and there was a dude using the first machine on my program. I say using though, he was sat there like staring doe-eyed at his phone. Right, no big deal. I thought it's a free country, whatever. I'll just start with my second exercise and then I'll come back to the first one, okay? So anyway, 4 sets done and I look over. This guy is still staring at his phone. Breathe, Doug. Okay, it's fine. I'll do my third exercise. Another 4 sets. Guess what? Needless to say, I did 12 sets before this guy finally got up and walked off. In the time that I did 12 sets, I counted, he did 3. Now, extrapolate that out. I'm doing 4 times the volume that he is in the same amount of time. It doesn't take a genius to figure out who is going to make the most progress. He's going to leave the gym. He's going to tell all his friends he's training really hard and goes to the gym consistently. And he just probably doesn't have the right body type. BS, mate. But here's the thing. If you follow the workout program I've just given you, you're only going to be spending an hour and a half a week in the gym. That's 0.8% of your week. So the lifestyle that you live outside of the gym is literally nearly 100 times more important. There's another 2 big elements to this. And the first one is walking. I appreciate you might be skeptical. Walking is not particularly sexy, but the results that you get from it are. So listen up. You've probably been told that if you want to get your body fat to a low enough level where you can actually see your abs, you need to be doing lots of cardio, but nothing could be further from the truth. Of all the clients I've ever had, I have never told them that they need to go running. Some of them do because they enjoy running, but not one of them has ever had to run a single mile against their will. And to prove my point, I have created an experiment. I put my Apple Watch on and I took myself out for a walk. I walked 3 kilometers in one direction and then I used my Apple Watch to track the calorie burn. Then I turned around and I ran the exact same 3 kilometer route back and tracked that too. The difference, well, look, take a look for yourself. I burned 241 calories walking and 255 calories running, which means the difference between the two was just 14. All that extra effort, the sweat, the aching, the exhaustion, for 14 calories. You don't need any fancy gear like an Apple Watch though. Every phone has a built-in pedometer, a step counter. So tracking how much you're walking is easy. In fact, do that right now. Pause the video quickly and open up your Apple Health or your Google Fit and just look at your step count for the last 7 days. Now, if I had to bet, I would say it's probably anything from 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day. How do I know that? Because that's the average number of steps that a man in the US or the UK walks, which when you really think about it, guys, is kind of mind-blowing. Like, we're awake for 16 to 18 hours of the day, and that means we're only on our feet for 40 minutes. I mean, come on, guys. I'm coaching you right now. I'm calling you out. This just isn't good enough. We can all do better. This time next week, I want every single person who's watching this video to have done at least 50,000 steps. That's just over 7,000 a day. It's very achievable because you and I both know that unlike running, walking is actually easy to sustain. No sore knees, no burning lungs, no mental battle to just get out of the door. This is effortless fat burn that's built into your daily life. Plus, you'll burn about 300 calories an hour from doing it. So even if you just walk 3 hours a week, that's an extra 600 calories burned. Over a year, that's gonna add up to 9 pounds of fat loss without doing anything extreme. And if you increase your steps to 10,000 per day, it adds up the equivalent of 70 marathons a year. Now, very few people wanna run 70 marathons a year, but walking them over the course of a year is easy. And if you did that, you'd burn 41 pounds of fat in the next year, just from walking. And this isn't theory. This right here is a guy I worked with called Paul. He lost 30 pounds in 3 months without running a single meter. I gave him a very simple nutrition plan. He worked out 2 to 3 times a week from home, but he really focused on hitting his weekly step target. And better yet, you can multitask whilst you're doing it. A lot of my clients have started doing walking meetings instead of Zoom meetings. You can catch up on your favorite podcast, or you can even just use it as an excuse to get your kids off the PlayStation. God, I sound like my dad. I think the biggest thing here is that most men just overestimate what they can achieve in days and underestimate what they can achieve in months. Walking also protects your testosterone levels because it's been proven to lower your cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And it does that by activating a part of your nervous system called the PNS, the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, this means you keep your metabolism firing, you have more energy, more drive, and you're burning fat in a sustainable way. I've helped guys lose anything from 10 to 30 pounds, like I just showed you with Paul, in 12 weeks with zero running. So just ask yourself, if you can lose fat whilst protecting your joints and keeping your hormones optimized by walking more, why wouldn't you? For fat loss that actually lasts here, guys, walking should be your main form of exercise. I mean, if you can even call it exercise, right? And if you combine that with resistance training, with lifting weights, which we just spoke about, you're on to an absolute winner. But we need to talk about something that's probably more important than any of those things. In fact, it's so important that I consider it the foundation of health, and that's sleep. So I used to see health a little bit like a circle with 3 equal parts. You've got your movement, your nutrition, and your sleep. But the older I've gotten and the more clients that I've worked with as the years have gone by, the more I've realized that health is more like a pyramid, and sleep is the foundation of that pyramid. I want you to be honest with yourself right now. When was the last time you got more than one solid 8-hour sleep in a row? I completely get it. You might have young kids. You're probably working all hours of the day, stressed out your mind, trying to make ends meet. It's easy to talk about sleep, but it's not easy to actually get it. But here's the truth. A lack of sleep is absolutely destroying your metabolism and your mental health. You see, when you're sleep deprived, your body produces more cortisol, which is the stress hormone we just spoke about, and that means your body's going to hold on to more fat. But not only that, poor sleep completely messes with your hunger hormones, making you crave more junk food and then overeat the next day. It's like a 1-2 punch against, just your life, to be honest with you. Less sleep equals more cortisol, more hunger, and less energy for those workouts. So the result overall is slower fat loss, no matter how hard you're working. Sleep is probably one of the highest leverage things that you can focus on because there's so many amazing benefits downstream of it. So how do we fix this? When it comes to your sleep, I'd encourage you to look at it this way. Tomorrow starts tonight, because all the things I just mentioned, energy, stress, hunger, they're all determined by the decisions that you make tonight. So to improve your sleep, we need to consider 3 things. I've been talking a lot. Okay, so firstly, how long you're sleeping. Secondly, how well you're sleeping. And then thirdly, how regularly you're sleeping. So the regularity is the easiest of those 3. So let's box that off quickly now. The science shows that if you go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time every day, you're going to sleep better and you're going to feel better. So just do that as much as you can. Now, to improve the quality of your sleep, we need to optimize your sleep environment. You want your bedroom to be as cold, dark, quiet, and well ventilated as possible. So get yourself on Amazon and add these 3 things to your shopping cart: blackout blinds or curtains, a fan, and earplugs. And for ventilation, as long as it's safe for you to do so, I'd advise you to sleep with your bedroom door open. Obviously, if it's not safe, don't do that. Just open a window if you don't sleep in a loud neighborhood. And then lastly, to make sure that you're getting at least 7 hours a night, we want to focus on your wind down routine. So the first thing to do here is to set a bedtime alarm, an alarm that tells you when it's time to start winding down. Now, the time you set your bedtime alarm for is going to depend on what time you want to wake up. You want to work backwards from that. So if you want to wake up at 7 a.m., for example, you would ideally need to be asleep, not in bed, by 11 p.m. So if that's the case, you would set your bedtime alarm for no later than 10 p.m. Now, what I'd also recommend you do is follow the 3-2-1 rule. This is where you stop eating 3 hours before bed. You stop drinking anything, not just alcohol, by the way. I'm talking water, coffee, tea. I mean, you definitely shouldn't be drinking coffee that late, but anything, 2 hours before bed. And then you shut off all your screens, whether it's TVs or laptops or phones, an hour before bed. Because to get into deep sleep, our heart rate has to be at a resting level, and eating is a metabolic process that raises your heart rate. It requires time and energy to digest your food, right? So we need to give it that time. Drinking obviously fills your bladder, and if you cut it out 2 hours before bed, you're far less likely to wake up in the night. And I would say, I'm now 37. This is probably what made the biggest difference for me. And then thirdly, the blue light from the screens, it affects our body's ability to produce our sleep hormone, which is called melatonin. But listen, if you can't put your phone down or close your laptop at least an hour before bed, then I'd say it's definitely worth investing in a pair of blue light blocking glasses, which again, you can just pick up on Amazon. I wouldn't go for the cheapest pair. I'd probably spend like $50, £50 or something like that. And guys, when you start getting quality sleep, like honestly, you're going to notice such a big difference in how you feel and then how your body responds. You'll wake up, feel less hungry throughout the day, and you'll finally see the fat loss that you've been working so hard for. Sleep is the ultimate metabolism booster, and it's the best thing that you can do for your mental health. Okay, so those are the main components of what you need to do. Now let's talk about what you want to avoid, the main mistakes that I see guys making. So mistake number one is they are tracking too loosely or they're starting too late. So like I said, if you're not tracking what you're reading and you're guessing is why most guys spin their wheels. You don't need to track forever, but just do it for the next 4 weeks, and I guarantee you it's going to make such a difference. Mistake number two is more of a mindset one, and that's chasing perfection, because here's the hard truth. Perfection is the enemy of progress. You'll slip up, you'll have days where you miss a workout or you go over your calories, and that's fine, that's normal, you're a human being, right? What's not fine though is thinking, I've ruined it now, I'll just wait till Monday to start all over again. That's what losers do, and you are not a loser. Consistency over time beats perfection every day of the week. Get back on track the next meal, not even the next day, and then just keep moving forward. Don't waste time wallowing in what's happened in the past. It is never a straight line down. Life isn't that simple. It looks like this. There are bends in the roads, there are bad days, there are even bad weeks. The challenge is to stay the course and trust the process even when the weight goes up a bit. Because you don't need a new process. You just need to get back to doing what worked for you before. Mistake number three is neglecting sleep. Listen, we've already covered this, but I think it's worth repeating, honestly. In fact, they say that most people need to hear something 7 times before they actually do it, so count this as number 2. If you're not prioritizing your sleep, your fat loss is gonna stall. A lack of sleep increases your hunger, it slows your metabolism, and it makes you crave junk. So no matter how dialed in your diet or your training is, poor sleep is just gonna undo it all. Sleep isn't optional, it's essential, guys. And then mistake number 4 is liquid calories and alcohol. This one catches out so many guys. A few beers at the weekend, a daily latte or a healthy smoothie, those calories all add up fast. And the worst part, liquid calories don't even fill you up. So if you're serious about getting to 12% body fat, just cut the calorie-filled drinks. And alcohol, it's a fat loss killer. I'm not saying you can never have a drink again or anything like that, but if you're knocking back the pints every single weekend, don't be surprised when your progress stalls. Take my word for it. If you avoid these mistakes, you will be miles ahead of most guys who are trying to lose fat. Anyway, up next, let's talk about what happens when you actually hit 12% and how to maintain it without losing your mind. All right, let's fast forward into the future. You've followed the plan and now you're at 12% body fat. Congratulations. Hitting 12% body fat feels incredible. Your abs are visible, your clothes fit better, and you've got this quiet confidence when you take your shirt off. You can't buy how you look. Every single person knows that you're disciplined. And that, I think, is actually the biggest benefit of doing this. Even if you just do it once in your life, it proves to yourself that you can do hard things, because no matter how much money you've got, you cannot do this unless you are willing to do the work. And it means that every single person knows that you're a professional and that you're serious, and most importantly, that you're healthy. Why is that important? Because people intrinsically trust healthy people more. But it's not just about how you look. Your energy levels are gonna skyrocket, your workouts feel better, and this even improves your mood. But here is where most guys go wrong. They hit their goal, they panic about losing it, and then start obsessing over every calorie. And I know this because I've been there. Back in 2018, I got too lean. I thought getting as shredded as possible would make me happy, and I kind of got a bit addicted to it. But instead, it wrecked me. I had zero energy, my mood was all over the place, my libido just completely tanked. And I learned the hard way that being lean is great, but being too lean can ruin your life. And that is why once you hit 12%, the goal is to increase your calories back to maintenance. Because as we said right at the start of this video, I think that is the sweet spot. This doesn't mean going back to the old habits. It means eating enough to fuel your body whilst continuing with the good habits and the new lifestyle that you've built. So you want to focus on sustainability, keep lifting, keep walking, keep enjoying the food that you've been loving so much, but make sure you do it all in moderation. And most importantly, don't get caught up chasing perfection. Your health, your happiness, your sanity matter just as much, if not more, than how you look. But I truly believe that 12% body fat is where you are going to be at your best. It's where aesthetics meet sustainability. You'll feel strong, energetic, confident, but all without sacrificing your social life, your favorite foods, and your mental health. The challenge is building the system to help you get that. In summary, here is your roadmap to hitting 12% body fat by the summer. Number one, you want to calculate your calorie deficit, track your food, and stick to that deficit. Number two, you want to build meals around protein, fiber, and whole foods, and then stay hydrated. Number three, you want to lift weights 3 times a week and focus on compound movements and progressive overload. Number four, you want to walk daily to burn calories without burning out. Number five, you want to prioritize sleep like your results depend on it, because they do. And number six, you want to avoid liquid calories, remember the journey will have its ups and downs, and just stay consistent. Wow, we covered a lot today, but I promised you the full roadmap and I didn't want to disappoint. Here's the thing though, everybody says that starting is the hardest part, but I don't think that's true. Almost everybody starts New Year's resolutions. That's easy. The real challenge is sticking with it. You see, the sad reality is that even though I've given you the full roadmap in this video, I know that 90% of the men watching it will give up. You can give a man a Ferrari and a full tank of gas, but if the drive is too long or the sun gets in his eyes, he'll still quit. But if you've made it to the end of this video, I know you are serious about getting results. And that's exactly the type of person I love working with. So if you want me to help you install the proven system that's already helped hundreds of my clients, men just like you in their 30s and 40s, lose 20 pounds in the next 10 weeks and keep it off for good so that you can burn all your belly fat and get arms that hug your t-shirt this summer, then click the link in the description and I'll show you exactly how we can personalize this program just for you. Until next time, peace.